So good morning. Breakfast is a cup of coffee as usual, part of an apple, and a 1 egg Parmesan omelet. I was going to videotape a little bit outside, but my neighbor in back of me is mowing. So you get to listen to the microwave. I'm thawing out some hamburger meat. I just threw on my clothes from yesterday because I'm just gonna get sweaty again. So I'm going to I need to clean off my workstation first. And then I'm gonna make some tamale pie. I'm thawing out the ground beef to make this recipe. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is go over the ingredients. So, the recipe calls for 1.5 pounds of ground beef, but I'm only going to use 1 pound. It calls for 1 small onion, and since I have one cut already in the fridge, I'm going to use that in part of this one. I like onions, so I'm going to use a lot. 2 garlic cloves, which I forgot. Forgot to pull it out of the fridge. I'm just going to use this minced garlic that's in the refrigerator. About 2 cloves worth. 2 cups of enchilada sauce. A can of corn. I don't remember putting corn in mine. I may not have used the corn when I made it before, but I'm going to use it for this one because that's what the recipe calls for. Black olives, I need to cut these up, slice them. Salt. Two and a fourth cups of cornmeal. Hopefully there's enough in here. It was in the freezer. It might just be enough. It's a very small bag. Evaporated milk, 1 can, a small can of green chilies. It's a 4-ounce can. And cheddar cheese. I do have cheddar cheese in there, but it's a block. And I really need to use the shredded stuff up first. So, plus I like just snacking on the chunks of cheese, so I'm not going to use the block cheese for a recipe when I have shredded cheese. So it does have cheddar in it. It'll be fine. And I think that's it. So I'm going to start working on this. So the first thing I'm going to do is mix up the crust. Not worried about being exact. Calls for 2 cups of water. the green chilies. The mixture is supposed to be cooked. I should have just mixed it into the pan, but while this heats up, I'm going to start cutting the onions up for the meat part of it. So I've greased the pie dish. It does call for a 12 by 8 inch baking dish, which I do have, but then I would have to use the big oven, and I don't want to do that. So I'm using my deep dish pie, and whatever, if there's too much, then I'll just save it for something else. So I've got my onions chopped, and I'm gonna chop the olives, some of them. So it only calls for a small can of sliced black olives. Let me see, 2 1/4 ounces, and this whole thing is actually 6 ounces. So I'm just gonna kind of guess about how many to use, and the rest I'll just put in the fridge and snack on. So I don't know if you remember, but a few videos ago I talked about black olives and only liking the California brand, because once again, about half of these are mushy. They're not firm, which I don't like. So instead of just snacking on these from the fridge, I think I'm going to freeze them for like pizzas and stuff, so it won't matter if they're firm or mushy. So I've occasionally been stirring it. It has gotten really thick, which is good because I was kind of worried about it. I think it's done. It is very thick. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. So it says to reserve 2 cups of the cornmeal mix. Just put it in this bowl. This is for the topping. I think there was a little extra in there. It says to cover with plastic wrap. And I think that's so it doesn't dry out, get hard or whatever. Set that over there. And then you spread it into the pie pan. Hopefully you can see it. You're supposed to press it up against the sides. I think I'm going to use my fingers. It was a little warm. So there's some of it left, so I'm just going to cover it with a plate. When it cools down, I guess I will just put it in the freezer and make something with it. So I'm going to take the pan, I'm going to take my pie, and I'm going to bake it in the oven for, so I'm supposed to bake it at 425 for 10 minutes. And while that's baking, I'm going to start working on the beef mixture. So I'm going to start with the ground beef. An onion. I'm going to add the corn. Olives. And the enchilada sauce. A teaspoon of salt. Two cloves of garlic, so I'm just going to guess. Let me just go with. I'm going to let this cook with the lid on. And I'm going to go check on the pie. So this is what the crust looks like. This is the meat mixture. Okay, I'm just pouring the meat mixture in here. Okay, there's still a little bit of the meat mixture. I'm just gonna freeze it when it cools down and maybe make a mini one some other time. Actually I could probably make it today. I might do that because I do have a lot of cheese that I need to eat. I might just do that. Okay, plus I have the topping. I might as well just make one. And the topping calls for 2 cups. I don't know if I'm going to use this whole thing. Kind of spread it on the best you can. So now we bake it for 15 to 20 minutes. I have I don't know what size it is. might be 4 by 4 inches, possibly 5 inches. It doesn't have the volume on here. This is old Corningware. Maybe it does and I just can't read it. Oh, it's 1.5 liters. Anyway, I'm gonna grease it, and I may end up with just a bottom crust. Cover that with the cutting board, and wait for that to finish cooking, baking. We have one more step in that one. We have to sprinkle some cheese and bake it for 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm just gonna do some dishes and clean up a little bit. It smells so good. So now I'm going to put some cheese on it. It says to bake for 5 to 10 minutes, so it's going back in the oven. I was going to pull some weeds over there, but I don't want to disturb the bee. Oh, there's another one. Wood hyacinth, they're blooming. Kind of, they're trying to. I really need to clean up this garden too and plant my watermelon. So I bought this moss at the garden center that I took you to yesterday, and I got it on sale at the end of the season. This one's not doing too good, but you can see I think I only bought 2 little containers, and then I've been splitting them and replanting them. This is the tamale pie. It smells delicious. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this one in the oven, cook up the crust, and then fill it. And when this cools off, I'll taste it. Okay, here's the tamale pie. It kind of fell apart when I took it out of the pie pan. I think if I made it again, I would do it with less of the cornmeal crust. So I think I'm going to try it with some sour cream and guacamole. It is very doughy because there is a lot of crust. It's really good. It may be really thick because I didn't use the bigger pan, the 8 by 13 or whatever it called for. And if you want, the recipe does say you can add some jalapeno peppers on top when you add the last layer of cheese. So I'm gonna go eat that after I have to add the last of the ground beef mixture in the little one. So I have a couple more steps to go on the little one that I made. I'm probably gonna freeze a bunch of this because I still have some chicken and rice I need to eat up. Yeah, so probably most of it's gonna go in the freezer. But I gotta finish baking this one. And one of the viewers said that I should try some bolt cutters on my stems that are dry and really hard to cut. So I do have a pair of bolt cutters. Since there's no top crust to this little one, I sprinkled it with cheese and I'm just gonna bake it for I don't know, for about 10 minutes. I cut off the stems of the stalk and then marked them with some manure so I'd know where they should be coming up. But this is really bugging me, so I think I'm going to work on this garden before I plant anything else. It's break time. So normally, half the time I pull all the weeds up in what I call the watermelon bed, which is straight out from the porch. And the other half of the time I just take the weed eater in the spring and cut it all down, and then I will lay cardboard, except for in certain spots where I'm gonna grow watermelon. I usually grow squash there too. A few years I've grown corn. It just depends. So yeah, I wish I had more cardboard. My daughter said she would probably have some for me, but I won't see her for a little bit. So I may just go ahead and finish pulling the weeds around the hyacinth, the wood hyacinth, and plant my watermelon and some squash, and I might plant a couple of the zinnias too, the purple zinnias, because I don't have a lot of room to plant those and I need somewhere to plant them. I think I'm going to make me a nice coffee. It sounds so good right now. I have been drinking water too besides coffee, but yeah, a nice coffee sounds really good. It's a little after 5. I think I'll take like a half-hour break and then go back out there and see if I can get those things planted. Also need to put some more bird seed out. I didn't put any out today. And now I feel bad because the cardinal's looking for something. There's probably scraps on the ground somewhere, but there's nothing in the bird feeder at all. So I don't want to scare them off, so I'll do that before I go back out there and work. I do need to buy some more. Oh, there's his mate. I will go back out there and do that. I need to buy some more birdseed because I'm getting low. I may go out tomorrow to Tractor Supply and get some birdseed. I also need to get some taro or something for these ants because they are not going away with the diatomaceous earth. And it's really getting on my nerves. I found one crawling in my little, inside of my little water kettle, day before yesterday. So yesterday, because I was running errands, I ended up just making instant coffee in the microwave because, yeah, I needed to disinfect my coffee pot, my little kettle again. So the milk, the shelf-stable milk tastes like milk. So that's good to know. I was afraid it was going to be slightly sweet because that's the way I remember it being over Germany, maybe. I have a vague memory of using the shelf stuff over there and it having a little bit too much of a sugary flavor to it. But that was 30 years ago or whenever it was. Anyway, it tastes fine. Tastes like milk, warm milk, but milk. And I just took the rest of my bird seed out and fed the birds with it, and then I realized I left the gate open. So I closed it and walked on my little path that I made, and I hate it. I think I'm going to twist an ankle on it. So what I think I'm going to do is move it into the watermelon garden, maybe around the edges, and then when I get more cardboard I will lay mulch and cardboard, and it's going to take a little while for the watermelon and whatever it is I'm going to plant, squash, probably butternut or honey nut squash out there. I don't like planting stuff that I have to go and pick a lot often because it's down a slopey and unstable. And where I've gotten older, I really hate walking in that area because I'm afraid I'm going to fall, trip, twist an ankle and fall. And I'm such a klutz anyway, and I've gotten weaker. My ankle is really weak, the left one where I sprained it 6 or 7 years ago, and it's never gonna get better. So yeah, I think I'm gonna move it over there. So that little area, when I bought the house, the previous owner was making it into a pond. So she already had it dug out and had the lining, black plastic lining in there, and she asked me if I wanted to keep it or not, and I said I don't want it. And I'm glad I didn't, because she had a tiny pond over there on the side of the house, and my daughter and her friends used to go and play with it, the little water spout that came up, and they broke it. And then I found out later, after I just gave up on it, it was getting slimy and stuff, and it was just a mosquito attractor. So I filled it in with dirt, and people have been under the house and they told me that the electrical was jerry-rigged and wasn't safe anyway. So yeah, so I'm glad the pond isn't there anymore, or isn't there. It never got finished anyway. So that's why it's kind of the way it is. And that's why it has stones around the edges, because it was supposed to be a pond. And I just left the stone and was gonna make a garden, which I did. It was gonna be a flower garden, but now it's more of a vegetable kind of garden that I don't have to tend to a lot. So watermelon takes forever to grow, and so do winter squashes. So that's what gets planted there usually. Look what I found. It's cilantro. It's growing. It's growing in the pot from last year. I need to water it. I think I'm done for the day. I think it's supposed to rain tomorrow. I can't remember if it's supposed to have a lot of storms tomorrow or the next day. I think Friday is, I think it's tomorrow that's going to be stormy. I'm going to leave the fencing off for now until I can get some more cardboard. Well, it's got to be put back up before the little dogs come, the grand dogs come. Otherwise, it's going to be a mess. Tomorrow's Thursday. I don't think they're coming till Sunday, so I have a few days to get the fencing back up. I have to go see how many more bags I have. I think I have 2 more bags of mulch out there, and then I have the garden soil. The garden soil I think I'm going to put in my big raised bed, since I didn't make a new bed, a new in-ground garden bed. That way I'll have to put less compost in that bed. So I'm gonna go take a shower. It's almost 6:30. I'm gonna take a shower and warm some of the chicken and rice up. I'm gonna have to thicken it on the stove because it's gotten runny from being in the freezer, which isn't pleasant when you're trying to eat it over rice. And then I'll work on this video so I can try and get up a little earlier, because I have a doctor's appointment Friday in the big city. It's in the afternoon, but it's in the early afternoon, so I'm gonna have to get up a little bit earlier than normal. I did get up fairly early today because I tried to read, and as much as I wanted to stay awake and read my book, I couldn't do more than a few pages. I couldn't keep my eyes open. So that's the good thing about gardening season, is you, yeah, it makes you tired, makes you sleep good. So yeah, my foot is hurting. My messed up foot. The one that I sprained. Okay, so I'm gonna eat some chicken and rice for dinner, like I said. And then I'm gonna sit and read, I think, after I edit this video. So y'all take care. Thank you all for watching. Bye.